where the secret is spoken, the contemporary people. Ladies and gentlemen, now I want to give all of you who are sitting in front of the television a question. Have you ever thought that you were an unlucky person, lost your belief, or left disappointed about life? So why don't you together with us to meet a very special person who used to suffer a lot of difficulties in life? And we will see whether your thinking about life is true or not. Today, our character is Miss Huynh Tieu Huong. Hello, Miss. So today the Contemporary People Show has a very special story for Miss Huynh Tieu Huong. That is, we know that your center usually receives the children to raise, don't you? What is the standard to be received, Miss? If Tieu Huong meets the abandoned and unlucky children, Tieu Huong will take and raise them. Is there any limit about age? Oh no, Miss. Most of children in the center are picked from garbage and public places. The Quehuongcharitycenter was founded and directed in 2001 by Huynh Tieu Huong. The purpose of the Quehuongcharitycenter is to teach and raise the orphan and disabled children. There are a lot of children have been received and given the circumstance to study, especially the abandoned infant and disabled children, by Tieu Huong since the center was founded. Currently, the number of children in the center is 307 children. And today, the Contemporary People Show will hold a meeting so Miss Tieu Huong can choose the 308th child. The 308th child will become the member of Quehuongcharitycenter. So we together with Miss Huong will talk with them. Hello, Ha. Hello, Miss. Can you hear me clearly? Oh, yes. Ha, how old are you? I'm 13 years old. Can you tell me where you're from? I'm from Đông. Why don't you live with your mother? At that time, my mother's health was not good, and she had to raise two of us. She was too poor to raise me. Have you ever felt if your circumstance changes, you will feel luckier? I have thought about that for a long time. If I am richer, it will be better. I want to ask, have you ever dreamed about a fairy that gives you silver? So what will you wish? I wish that I would be strong enough to raise us. Okay, now Ha, please give the microphone to your next friend. Hello, Thảo. Oh, hello, Miss. How old are you? I'm 22 years old. How is your life? I was orphaned when being born and led the life of a wanderer for nearly 22 years. Through the wandering days, I always hoped that I can live peacefully and have parents. After that, I was adopted by a family, and finally I was harmed by my adoptive father, and I continued to live a wandering life. Actually, I cannot talk enough my situation in life. You want to say something, Miss Huong? Your name is Thảo, right? You talk enough. And Tieu Huong want to adopt you. Do you want Thảo to talk more about her situation? No. Why? Because it will be more painful if she talks more. Why do you decide to receive Thảo at this time? Because Thảo and I have the same situation. Now we continue to talk with the boy. Miss Tieu Huong wants to talk with you. Is it okay? Oh yes. How old are you, Thai? I'm 7. Do you have parents? Yes. Thai's story is very special. Thai has parents. His father was addicted and his mother went away. He has a grandfather who was more than 80 years old. The grandfather and the boy have to come to Thống Nhất Park to find something to eat, such as selling lottery tickets. His situation is very piteous. Do you usually meet the children like that? To Tieu Huong is very usual. If meeting a child with this situation, Tieu Huong can show this word no matter how hard it can be, because I might still grow up as a wandering child. So once their situation is unlucky and they have to live in the street, if they are still not adopted, Tieu Huong want to receive them through this show. We will continue to talk more with them to know more about the personality, the situation, and the dream of each child. Return to Tieu Huong's story. We want to ask you, do you recognize this place? Oh, this is the line. I used to live in it. I lived in many train stations to sell us tea and water. I lived in train line tens of years. Have you ever counted how many stations you used to go by? At that time I knew all, but now I forget. In the past, I could know from Ông Thượng Station to Saigon Station. Why does it begin with Ông Thượng Station? Because it is the first station that was abandoned. It is the first station I lived. When going to the train, Huong usually hide in the toilet and wait till the train begins run to go out. And when the train ran, I hide under the seat to avoid punishment. Do you remember any stories about the first time in your memory? Talk about memory, there is a lot of pain, so it is not easy to say because only me suffer the pain. And if I talk, the parents that raised me and the whole family and brothers and friends will be more painful. So Tieu Huong cannot retell. Why do we see a voice child with emotion and tear whenever talking about memory? Anything fun? Almost in 22 years, I don't know what fun is. The pain is more. I don't understand sadness and fun, but know clearly pain and scare. Did anyone give you something, a cake, a smile, for example? Yes, there is one female soldier, Miss I. She is the first person in life that helped me. She took me to the military unit to live. When the people in the train fight and send me away, she and her friend helped me. She asked me to hide under the seat to avoid the fight. She allowed me to come with her to the unit, but her friend did not. But at last, she determined to take me with her. After living a while, because the soldiers did not allow to stay, she determined to come to live with her family. And when living with her father in her family, Tieu Huong was firstly done like that by father. So I was afraid that her father was like my father. Therefore, Tieu Huong determined not to stay. Whenever talking about my father, I was scared and did not accept. So at last, I returned to train station. Talk about my real life, it is very bitter and painful, because if talking about happiness, Tieu Huong never think that I will have it, and talking about gladness, I just dream about the peace in everyday life, but it is just a dream, so I have never thought that I can achieve it. Can you remember the first time you received a child? How was it? It is a boy or girl? Where was it? When sleeping in Bình Đông car station, I saw a little child of 2 or 3 years old. At that time, I do not think much. I just know that I must not let it die, and I don't know that if I pick it, I could get anything to eat. At that time, how old are you? About 10. Having lived like dust, about 10 years old, when meeting an abandoned child, how can you make a living? Every day, Tieu Huong went everywhere to pick the banana peel that they waste and the excesses of noodles that the noodle sellers throw away, and chew and feed the child. I think it doesn't mean that only when we have money we are able to help the others, and we are not necessary to be rich to save the others. The important thing is whether we love the people besides us or not. And if we love that child and we feel that the child's life is valuable to us, no matter how hard the life is, we are still able to save the child's life. After that, you had to live a wandering life or street life, and as usually say, how could you take the child with you, or you had to send it to someone? Oh, I usually take it with me anywhere. Although it was very difficult, I think the difficult were just about the food for the child. But the mystery I thought lucky was better than living alone, because there were two people, there was just one person before. One person just cried alone and felt sad alone, but at least having a baby that I could hug whenever I write, and I had a person to confide, although it did not understand me. It is my encouragement and also the motivation to save myself whenever I feel sad the most. Whenever I want to suicide, I had to think for my child first. I needed to be saved, and I could not die. I had to do something to ensure the life, so I tried my best. You say that you used to want to say goodbye to life. Can you remember you had this thinking after which event?
Bán hết chỗ này, bán hết chỗ khác để mà làm công cụ. Thì Hương nghĩ rằng sự sống của mình nó không có giá trị. Thứ nhất là không xứng đáng để làm.
I was brought from this place to another place to perform as a tool, so I thought that my life was invaluable. Firstly, it was not worth to be a human. Secondly, my life was invaluable at all to continue to live. However, I thought that if I died, who would protect my child? So if I wanted to die, firstly I shouldn't save my child, and we shouldn't create it anymore. In 1980, at 4615 Nguyễn Street, they tied my hands and legs into a Honda motor and threw me into Saigon River. They threw 3 times, but unluckily, I did not die. When they took me, I prayed God to let me die to avoid the harm. I prayed to die, but when being so, I was so afraid of death. At last, although I didn't know swimming, I still get to shore. Therefore, from that time, Tieu Huong thought that before dying, I usually wished to die, but when being to die, I didn't dare to die. From that time, I determined to find the children. Do you think that you did an incredible thing? I myself have never thought that it is my difficulty, because I think that I was a lucky person. I am able to receive children and the child accepts to live with me. I think that this is a lucky thing. This doesn't mean that I must raise the children. This means I can raise them. And the reason why I love children is that I had a child before when I was harmed. And in the street life, it got a fever for 1 to 2 months. After that, they took it to the doctor, but never returned. When I met them, they say that it died. So Tieu Huong thought that my child may be among these children. And from that time, Tieu Huong decided to receive any abandoned child, and I thought to myself to protect the children to the end of my life.
Bất cứ một đứa trẻ nào bỏ ra, Tieu Huong đều lượm về nuôi. Và Tieu Huong nguyện trong lòng của mình, xong hết cuộc đời còn lại sẽ bảo vệ trẻ.
This is the secret that the first time you tell, isn't it? Why do you decide to say it today? Firstly, it is because I'm a newborn child. And secondly, besides me is the 2-year-old orphan child. Those two things combine in my biography. Therefore, I can lie myself. I was born without parents. I don't know who my parents are and where I come from. My childhood memory is the wandering days in the street, from one place to another to live. In the night, I sleep in grave. It is the times being beaten terribly and harmed. In those days, I just wish of a peaceful life, have a happy family, and be able to call father and mother. After many beatings of the life, I now become the mother of hundreds of children and give the unlucky children a roof so that they don't have to live an unfortunate life anymore. When meeting these children, have you ever seen any story repeated in his or her story? For example, in the past, Tieu Huong was very lucky to meet one benefactor. So do you think that the children were also very lucky to meet you? In the past, the benefactor helped only me, and I have a very happy life. But the children met me in a very difficult circumstance. Why? Firstly, because there is only one mother but hundreds of children. Tieu Huong must have responsibility, but I can't fulfill my duty as a mother. This is because I can't hug all of my children at the same time. I split the shift. In night, 10 children were on the right side and 10 children were on the left side. It means that they were divided. Actually, when sleeping, I had to spread my hands, and each child hugged a finger, and another hugged the thigh, the leg, another lay in the stomach, the other hugged the head. And every night, it became my habit. I couldn't sleep without them. In the kindergarten, everyone knows that sometimes the children cry or pee or shit at the same time. It is very tired, and we can't avoid getting angry. Have you ever met this situation? Oh, miss, this is a daily chorus, and I hope that you will stay 1 or 2 days in the center. When they want to pee, they do this at the same time. If 30 children tell me that they want to pee, I must take all of children's trousers off. After that, when they say, "Wash ass, mom," I must wash their asses. And when crying, all of the infants always cry together. My greatest happiness is that I can feel my children need love, and I use all of my abilities to help them. I usually thought to myself to try my best in spite of illness. Now we will return to the story of choosing to find out the 308th child of Tieu Huong Charity Center. We have 3 children, but we are just able to choose one, so we have some norms. Firstly, you should think whether you have any norms to choose. If you don't have, we will give some norms to help you. I just have one thing. I just want to ask that child if he or she wants to live with Mother Huynh Tieu Huong or not. Besides that, I have no norm. Suppose we give the norm that firstly, he or she must have no parents. It means that he is an orphan without relatives. It means that he is an orphan without relatives and hasn't been received by any center. Secondly, this child must be female and spent many beatings and abusiveness. Do you want to give the norms such as he or she must be a child with certain personality? For example, he or she must be obedient and he or she must know how to apologize. No. Why? Because if he or she is obedient, he or she will have the education from family or school. And if he or she has the education, he or she must have it until now. If he or she is blinded or disabled or has HIV, I still receive. How about a child that used to inject drugs or addicted? I still receive, miss. Why? He or she is orphan. If he or she addicted before, when taking him or her home, I will give him or her my love every day. I myself don't have enough time, but all of people in the center will spend time with him or her. Do you think that he or she will be able to detoxicate? Yes, in 1981, 1982, Tieu Huong still injected, and Tieu Huong smoked nearly 2 years. I smoked opium and injected drugs, but I still detoxicated. How did you do that? Because I didn't want the people around me to die, I determined to do it. How? I think you and the audiences know that the people who injected drugs were very afraid of water. But the greater the fearness of water is, the nearer I came to the water. And I thought to myself to sit and wait whether I die or not. If I died, it was because my destiny led me to that way. And if I was not patient, they would be skinnier. Therefore, I determined to do that by myself. Have you ever given a note that the child must have never and will never steal? To me, it is not important. Why? Because stealing is caused by his circumstance. They forced him to steal. It is like his heart, which is never greedy, and in his heart, he never wants to steal anything from anyone, but the circumstance forced him into that way. It is like Tieu Huong before. I never wanted to be a prostitute, but the society forced me into this way. But I know how to overcome my destiny, and I believe that he or she can do that. One more thing about personality. We see that you have the sharing personality, so do you want the child that you will help to have this personality? When raising the children, I have never thought that they will repay a debt of gratitude to me. And I never think that when raising children, they will give me anything. But I think that once I raise the children, I want to give them a future. Yesterday is the past, the future hasn't come yet, and the present is what we really need. I think that when the children come with me, they will of course follow me and love each other. How about if the child you will receive doesn't have enough energy and patience to rise in their life like you? Because I have never wished to have rice to eat and a bicycle to ride, sit in the television station, and be in the newspaper updated every day. I have never believed this, but I think that everything is caused by karma. And besides that, I must overcome myself. Although karma is given by God and created by society, but at least I must overcome myself and know how to love. I don't have them to have it bitter like me. That is the thing that makes me really surprised. I'm surprised because you always require yourself by the others. Yeah, this is very strange. Who taught you? I think I shouldn't require. Because our ability is limited. Today you may be very rich, you have a lot of money, and you can sacrifice everything for me, but in a moment, when I require asking